Frank Part 1, author Unal Ada. Narrator. Frank enters the casino and goes straight to the blackjack table. He neither sits down at the table nor has any intention of playing. All he does is simply watch a young man who has obviously already lost a lot of money. His desperation is clearly visible. He's sweating, constantly turning in his chair, and is clearly not in a particularly good mood. Frank watches him for quite a while. It takes less than a few seconds for Frank to realize what's really going on with the young man. He discreetly stands next to him and asks him if he hasn't lost enough already. The man turns to Frank, quite surprised, and asks him what he's doing and who he is to ask him such a cheeky question. It's none of his business, he says, and if he doesn't leave, he'll call security. He looks hopefully at the dealer who gives him the cards.
Hey, calm down, Andre. I'm your friend. Come join me at the bar for 2 minutes and I'll explain a little something to you. After that, you'll see me as the best friend you've ever had.
Confused but somewhat frightened by Frank's appearance, he slowly stands up and then cautiously walks with Frank to the bar. Frank orders him his favorite drink and a vodka lemon for himself. Andre is now even more surprised than he already was, because Frank not only called him by his real name, but also because he ordered his favorite drink. But he's so intimidated by Frank's appearance that he doesn't dare ask him how he knows his name. Frank knows all this and doesn't want to make things any more difficult for him than they already are. Before things get even more uncomfortable for Andre, he wants to offer him some relief and explains a few things to him.
First of all, you have nothing to fear from me. Your name is Andre. You're married, have 2 children, and a mortgage that you still have a good 10 years to pay off. You actually earn good money at work, which should easily be enough for you and your family. But you have this addiction problem, the one with the gambling, you know, so you have exactly $179 left in your wallet. The problem is, the month has just begun. Since you already exceeded your account limit last month, you'll have to tell your wife what's going on this month at the latest, because she'll find out. If not today, then next week at the latest, or the week after. At least you'll be at work when the letters from the bank start trickling in over the next few days. Let's recap, you're broke. Paying some of your bills has been delayed several times. My friend Andre, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're screwed. I mean, really screwed. Asshole. But first, enjoy your drink. Come on, take a sip and I'll show you a way out of this dilemma.
Andre takes a sip and continues to look at Frank expectantly.
Well, it works. The world looks so much better after a drink, doesn't it? So, you and I are going to go to the roulette table right now. I'm going to tell you some numbers you're going to bet all your money on. Oh, don't worry, you can't lose. If you lose, I'll give you $10,000 in cash right away and then I'll piss off. You have my word that you'll never see me again after that, and you don't have to pay me back. I'll give it to you for free if you lose. But you won't. Have you been able to follow me this far? Yes? Good. So you bet on the numbers I'm about to tell you, and if you do exactly what I tell you, you'll leave this casino with $500,000 in less than half an hour. All you have to do is believe me and bet on the numbers I'm about to tell you. Is that clear? And one more thing. Anything you win, you can keep it, of course. I don't want anything from it, and you won't owe anyone else anything either. All right? Well, let's go then, I'd say. And no, not now, but you have my word that I'll answer all your questions as soon as we get out of here.
Frank stands up and looks back at Andre. He's still sitting there, having no idea what's happening. He's scared, doesn't understand what this is all about, and why a stranger would want to help him in this way. And what confuses him even more is the fact that he supposedly knows which numbers will come up at the roulette table. But he's already gambled away almost his entire salary. The bills are piling up, and if his situation doesn't change soon, he'll probably be homeless in 2 months at the latest, which will likely also result in the end of his marriage, especially since this isn't based on a stroke of fate, but pure gambling addiction. He realizes he has no choice. He doesn't actually believe that Frank will give him $10,000 if he loses, but he doesn't see any alternative either. Perhaps it's his hopelessness, perhaps his desperation, but in any case, he also stands up and follows Frank. Frank goes to the cashier and tells Andre to exchange $100 for roulette chips, which he does. Arriving at the roulette table, Frank suggests he sit down. He sits down at the table and Frank whispers 25 in his ear. He places all of his chips on the number 25. After seconds of nervous staring, during which Andre not only bit his fingernails, but now threatened to bite his fingers, so tensely watching the ball stops on the number 25. And sure enough, Andre lands a full straight up, winning 36 times his stake in one fell swoop. Andre is overjoyed and, after piling up his winnings in front of him, looks nervously and expectantly at Frank. Frank just watches the whole thing bored. After 2 more rounds, in which Andre also wins, Frank sits down next to him and quietly tells him that he has to lose a few rounds so no one gets suspicious. He should only bet small amounts. Andre follows his advice, and after a while, Andre has won chips worth well over $500,000. Frank stands up and looks at Andre. He immediately understands and also stands up. He gives the croupier a chip as a tip, which is worth $100. Andre hurries to the bar, where Frank is already waiting for him. Frank tells him he'll order his drink. He should go to the cashier and exchange the chips for real money, which Andre does immediately. After a few minutes, Andre returns to Frank and sits down silently. Frank has already finished several glasses of vodka lemon and is still drinking like a bottomless pit. Andre also finishes his glass in one gulp and finally dares to ask Frank a few questions.
How did you know which numbers would come? Wait, what about all this money? Can I really keep it? Who are you anyway, and why did you help me?
Well, that's a lot of questions all at once, but a promise is still a promise, and I told you I would answer your questions. We're still not at your doorstep. Oh, my mistake. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that I'll answer all your questions at your doorstep while we sit in your car and have a quick chat. And no, you still have nothing to fear from me. I don't want your money now or any time later, and I have no intention of entering your house either. Come on, get up and let's go outside.
Andre is scared and he can't hide it. But so far this man has done everything exactly as he said he would. Hesitantly, and just as uncertainly, he follows Frank outside anyway. Frank is already waiting by his car, smoking like a chimney. He slowly walks to his car, opens it, and Frank gets in faster than he can. He starts the engine and looks over at Frank, but Frank gestures with his index finger to his lips, telling him not to say anything and to drive off instead. Andre briefly considers whether it might not be better to go to the police right away, but Frank knows everything.
I can understand your worries, and also that you're scared. But going to the police isn't a good idea. Listen, forget your fucking fear. I don't want to hurt you. I never intended anything like this, nor will it happen. Don't worry, your wife has nothing to fear from me either. All I want is to drive with you to your house now. You only have to listen to me for 2 minutes and I'll get out. Get out and leave. You'll keep all the money and be able to do whatever you want with it. We'll never see each other again. Is everything clear? Okay, let's go.
Andre puts the car in gear and wonders how he knew he wanted to go to the police. Somehow, this guy seems to know everything, but Frank's words at least take away most of his fear, and so he drives off. After a quarter of an hour they arrive, and Andre parks his car in front of his house, turns off the engine, and looks over at Frank expectantly. He throws his cigarette out the window, turns to Andre, and after a few seconds of staring at him without saying a word, he speaks to him.
Do you know what your job is? I don't mean here and now, but in general. In life, I mean. Wait, before you tell me any nonsense, you'd better shut up. I already know what kind of nonsense you're going to tell me. I'm going to take a few minutes of your life away from you. Literally, I mean. You're going to shut up and just listen to me, get it? The reward for that isn't just this little bit of money. It's the happiness of your life, the peace and contentment that comes with it. And what's even better, it's the salvation of your soul.
Andre suddenly jumps. So, he thinks to himself, he had suspected that something wasn't right. A nutcase, possibly a crazy psychopath, who's after him, and he was stupid enough to bring him to his own doorstep. He's just about to panic. He suddenly starts breathing heavily and is visibly sweating.
Calm down, you idiot. I'm neither some kind of psychopath, nor am I out to get you or your family. Have you already forgotten, you idiot? How many times do I have to tell you that nothing will happen to you or your family? Do you think I have nothing better to do than waste my precious time playing such stupid games by just coming here and terrorizing and killing you and your family? I can read your mind, you idiot. I know what you'll think before you even start thinking. But since we're on the subject, I mean time and its senseless waste and all that, I can see it in your face. You have no idea why you're here, what your purpose in life is. I don't like it when people die stupidly. I don't want you to die stupidly, and since my goodness is endless, you too should be allowed to taste some of my fabulous and endless goodness. So you bum now. Listen to me very carefully. When you die, someday, not here and now, I mean, really later, you're guaranteed a ticket straight to hell. But I also have some good news for you. I am, if you want it that way, your personal guardian angel. No, wait, let's strike that. Guardian angel sounds so gay. I'm only into women. The ones with the nice asses and big tits, I mean. And since you don't have a nice ass or big tits, I'm assuming you don't have a delicious, warm, and wet pussy either. So I'm not your guardian angel, but rather your personal godfather. I'm going to show you where you'll end up if you keep going the way you've been.
Andre is shocked, and his fear rises immeasurably. He raises his hand very carefully, as if he were a little schoolboy and would like to be allowed to say something. Frank, of course, already knows what he wants to ask, and to calm him down a bit, he pretends he doesn't know his question and allows him to ask.
You said I'd find out everything. You'd tell me everything when we got to my house.
Yeah, and? Come on, I don't have all night. Ask your questions and I'll answer them.
What are you?
To answer that question, I'd have to go back too far. It would take too long. Forget what I said in the casino. I won't answer your stupid questions. I'll just tell you what you need to know. What you do with it, or whether you throw it away or whatever, is up to you. But now shut up and listen to me carefully. Because you'll never see me again. You're a computer programmer, a very good one in fact. But with your work, you're preventing people from taking care of more important things in life. I know, you're just a programmer, not a bad person and all that. But look, with your work, you're preventing good things from happening. People who would meet each other much more often without your work don't. Because you're preventing them from going out, meeting other people, maintaining and intensifying social contacts and all that. And no, you're not a bad person. That I know too. Let me explain it to you like this. Look at yourself. You're addicted to gambling, and today you are on the verge of losing everything you've worked so hard to build. And the same thing is happening to the many people who play your games. Very few of them stick with it as a way to pass the time. There are simply too many people who risk everything because of their gambling addiction. They're becoming stunted as human beings and are no longer capable of social contact. What you may not know is that right now, especially at this moment in time, there's a constant battle between good and evil, and one of Satan's most perfidious ideas is to distract many people from doing good. Look, you, for example, you're an idiot, yes, I know, but you're a good guy. You don't mean anyone harm, and you couldn't hurt anyone. But even so, evil is using you for its own purposes without your knowledge. Just by distracting people, he gains an advantage. In a war, not everyone involved fights on the front lines with weapons. There are just as many in the background, contributing to the war. You can believe me or not. Honestly, I couldn't give a shit. Really, I mean it. I'm not here because I like looking at your stupid face or because you or your family mean any shit to me. For all I know, you can forget everything you've experienced and done today, and everything I've told you, and carry on as before. I, for one, with that kind of money, would spend a whole weekend in a brothel with some really pretty hookers before I'd even think about telling my wife about all that money. Afterwards, it'll be hard to pinch off a few thousand and make up for the weekend with the hookers. Once a woman finds out how much money you have, it's easier to convince the devil to give up than to hide the money from a woman. And no, I have absolutely no idea why you, of all people, why I should come to you and tell you all this. I'm, so to speak, employed by the good guys, and I never know why or what I have to go to, only who's next and what I'm supposed to do. So spare yourself the stupid questions, and before I go, one more thing. Your life, or rather, your time here on Earth, is such a small, insignificant drop of shit compared to the time you'll spend on the other side that it's not even worth mentioning. But even this insignificantly short time here has enormous consequences for your time hereafter. So think carefully about what you do next. No one will stop you from anything. But the only one who will have to answer for it in the end is you, and you alone.
Andre doesn't understand anything anymore, and is completely at his wit's end. The man in front of him keeps telling him such ridiculous nonsense that he could never believe it. But on the other hand, he has all that money safely in his pocket. He knew all the numbers that would come up, and even knew what questions were swirling around in Andre's head right now, without him even saying them. He knew his name, his address, his marital status, even his favorite drink. Something is very wrong with him. On the other hand, nothing, absolutely nothing, of what he's trying to tell him makes even the slightest sense. Andre wonders what to do now. He would love to run into the house and show his wife all that money. That's the solution to all his problems anyway. On the other hand, however, he has grave misgivings, even a real fear, that Frank is hiding something from him. No one just walks up to a complete stranger, allows them to acquire so much money in such a short period of time, and then simply leaves. He's desperately trying to figure out what else awaits him, but that's not so easy with a guy like Frank.
Stop that nonsense, you idiot. Haven't you realized yet that I won't hurt you? You still don't believe me, and that's okay. So before I go, I'd like to show you something else. Look into my eyes, and I'll show you what awaits you if you continue to stubbornly cling to being as stupid as you have been. Nothing awaits you but the total loss of your soul. I'm a good person. Maybe not to others, maybe not always. But basically, I'm pretty okay. Okay? I drink too much, all the time. Also, I can't resist pussy and I'll fuck anything in my path. Every now and then I do some other things which I'd better not mention. But hey, I really try to make good decisions otherwise. For myself, anyway. You're wondering why I'm telling you all this, seriously? You're really much better than that, dumber than you look. I don't just want to allay your concerns, but also take away your immense fear, you idiot.
At that moment, something suddenly falls onto the hood of the car Frank and Andre are sitting in, with such a loud crash that it sticks flat to the asphalt. Completely terrified, Andre throws himself out of the car, while Frank calmly and slowly gets out. The loud bang naturally awakens all the neighbors, and some of them, who weren't anxiously and curiously watching what was happening from behind the curtains, come running out and demand to know what's happened. Andre runs to his wife and takes her in his arms, trying to calm her down, more or less. But then something incredible happens. The hood of the car is suddenly and violently thrown upwards, that the people standing around, frightened, try to hide behind everything they can, if they haven't already run back inside. Someone must have already informed the police, because they announced their arrival with loud sirens. Frank looks around and tells the people, who are apparently still not scared enough, that they should go back inside. While he calmly takes off his jacket and places it on the ground, he repeats his words again.
Better get back inside, guys. What's about to happen here is none of your business.
At this moment, a strange figure gradually becomes visible, which until then had been obscured by the smoke rising from the hood. It's fixated on Frank and stares at him with incredible, glowing red eyes.
Actually, I should thank you, Frank, you asshole. Because through your work here, you've made it possible for us to also have an impact on this world. I'd be lying if I said that now, so I won't say anything like I'm sorry about what I'm about to do to you, or anything like that. Quite the opposite, it will be a pleasure. And what a pleasure. I'm sure you won't take offense if I don't unnecessarily thank you for your contribution.
Who are you? You seem even dumber than you are ugly. Are you serious? They're sending someone like you to the first official battle on Earth? Shit, I assumed I was worth much more. I guess I was wrong, and instead they're sending me a cheap copy of whatever for my first fight against evil. Oh well, I'll do what I was chosen to do and kick your fat ass now. Wait a minute. What are you anyway? And where is your ass?
Ha ha ha, Frank, very funny. You really are even dumber than I've been told. You still haven't realized what your stupid actions have led to? This, my dear, is your end. Your final end.
Yeah, you too. The only question is which of us is the dumber one, and before I show you what I'm capable of, I need you to answer one more question. What does an ending that isn't final actually look like?
No sooner had he asked the creature in front of him this question, and the creature was still puzzled, pondering the question, than Frank rushed at it like lightning, grabbed it by the neck, and ripped its head off with a jerk. The creature didn't even have time to understand what was happening to it before it was dead. The people standing around didn't know whether to cheer or be afraid of Frank. But they didn't stay in suspense for long. The police had already arrived, and several officers had surrounded Frank, ordering him with their guns drawn and his hands above his head to lie down and surrender. Frank, however, didn't react to them and calmly picked up his jacket from the floor and put it on.
Listen, guys, it's all over. No one was hurt and there's no danger anymore for anyone. So why don't we just let me go and be okay?
But he suspected that this wouldn't be possible just like that. The problem Frank now faced was that he was only allowed to use his superhuman powers against inhuman creatures. That was the second rule he hated. The first was that he wasn't allowed to use his fantastic powers to gain any advantage over ordinary people. He was therefore not allowed to use his powers to his own advantage, nor was he allowed to use them against ordinary people. This would have made it impossible for him to simply run away from the police officers. When the police officers warned him for the last time, he saw no other option than to lie down on the ground. He was then arrested and taken to the police station. After some time, 2 plainclothes officers entered his cell and led him into an interrogation room. He sat down at the small table while his hands were handcuffed, which were tightly adjusted to the table. Without saying a word to him, one of the officers pressed a switch on the wall, which opened the barrier to the next room. Frank looked over wordlessly and saw Andre. He was still completely out of his mind. He was talking like a waterfall. He told the officers everything. Frank just watched it all without saying a word. Andre told the officers everything. How he'd been threatened by Frank. He'd also been kidnapped by him, forced to commit fraud in the casino under threat of violence. That was the moment Frank finally said something.
Could you 2 idiots please close the screen again? That's terrible.
While one of the officers raised the screen again, Frank was suddenly slapped across the head by the second officer behind him. Frank didn't seem particularly surprised by this action and turned his head to the officer behind him.
Why don't you, hero, try that a second time after you've opened my handcuffs?
The officer was just about to deliver another blow to Frank when the door opened and a very attractive female officer wearing a skirt and a tightly fitted tight blouse walked in. She was followed by someone with a portable screen. Without a word, the officer sat down opposite Frank and signaled the man with the monitor to turn it on the table. Then she told him he could go back outside, and once he was outside, she plugged a memory stick into the edge of the monitor, which now played a video. Frank was supposed to watch everything before commenting, and Frank did what was expected of him. Someone had recorded everything that had happened in front of Andre's house. When the video ended, she asked him what he had to say about it. Frank looked at her urgently. He was simply examining everything about her.
Well, I think you should always accept something like that these days. I mean, it's completely normal these days that there's always some bum filming everything. I'm telling you, these days you can't get away with anything without fearing you'll end up on every screen tomorrow. But let's put aside the formalities and get down to business. How about you? Why don't you want to have some sex tonight or something? I'd drop everything at the sight of you, if you know what I mean. And if that's something you're into, I'd happily allow you to punish me.
The officer, in turn, looks at Frank very carefully. She's trying to figure him out.
Let's be professional, please, and leave this silly nonsense behind and get straight to the point.
Yes, baby, that's how I like it. That's how I like it best.
Okay, we don't know exactly who you are yet, but that should be the least of our worries. We'll probably find out before the interrogation here is over. And also that you've involved this poor Andre in this whole affair, instigated him to commit criminal acts, threatened him, and kidnapped him. But as I said, those are probably the least of our worries. What's no small matter, however, is what you see on this video. In just a few hours, it will take on dimensions that none of us here can really assess. Why don't we make it as easy as possible for each other and help each other where we can?
Yes, that's my opinion too. Well, I do like, let's say, a little kinky, and I'd be happy to take you anally if you're into that. Are you into anal sex? Yes, you are. I can see that clearly. So yes, baby, please, I beg you, let's make it as pleasant as possible for each other.
These prepubescent games won't do you any good. So let's just leave it and get to the point. Who are you? I mean, what exactly are you? And what was that thing? Please think very carefully about what you answer me now, because it will determine whether I help you or not. And believe me, you want me to help you. So all of this could end very satisfactorily for all of us, or it could be incredibly painful and drawn out.
Yes, you horny slut, I believe you when you tell me you want to help me. Please, yes, help me. Should I suck your teeth first before you suck my cock? Satisfy me and I promise to suck your tits and fuck your brains out.
She reacts to these words with a look that's half annoyed and half angry, without responding to them. Frank looks at her somewhat amused, then looks at the two officers in the room and says,
Well, first of all, I'd like to sincerely thank you. Thank you for your willingness to help me. Now to your offer. I don't think this has to be satisfactory for all of us. It should be perfectly fine if it's just for the two of us. And it might only be painful if you refuse to use anal lubricant. If you insist, that's fine with me. I'm just having fun anyway. Now, don't look so disgusted. That was just a joke. But what isn't a joke is what I'm about to tell you. So listen to me carefully. You don't know me and you'll never know. Because I simply don't exist, officially, I mean. And these ridiculous handcuffs are the last thing that could stop me. I'll tell you something. Let me go and take care of that thing on the video whose head I ripped off. That's probably much more important to you than the futile effort of trying to keep me here. I'm going to slowly stand up now and free myself from these handcuffs. All I'm asking you now is to simply remain silent. Don't try anything you couldn't do anyway. If you don't want to let me go, there may be injuries or even deaths. But that won't be my fault. And remember the camera on the top right wall. It will record what's happening now and your future career will depend on it, so don't do anything that would be pointless anyway.
Frank slowly stands up as he announced and tears the handcuffs apart. The two officers are just as frightened at first, as is the female officer herself, immediately draw their weapons, and now threaten Frank to stay seated and not move. Frank looks at them both.
Look, you can't stop me. There are no civilians or residents here who could be harmed, which is why I allowed you to arrest me earlier. Think of your little daughter who just turned 7 yesterday. Do you want your child to grow up without you? And you stupid asshole, I was actually planning to give you a good beating before I left here. Put your fucking gun down, you stupid pig. Otherwise, I'll really do what I was trying to avoid until just now. You better go home and see who your wife is fucking tonight. What are you looking at so stupidly? Do you want the name and phone number of the asshole who's currently fucking your wife? This is the moment when you have to shoot or let me go. Although I don't want to make things unnecessarily difficult for you. Just get out of my way or I'll make my own way.
The female officer orders the two plainclothes police officers not to shoot. While one lowers his weapon, the other pulls the trigger, but nothing happens. He releases the safety catch on his weapon again, points it at Frank again, and pulls the trigger again. And again, nothing happens. He slams his hand on the gun and becomes frightened because Frank is now slowly approaching him.
What did I just say? Get out of my way or I'll clear my way. What else did I say? If you try to stop me from leaving here, it won't be my fault if there are deaths or injuries. And especially to you. What exactly did I tell you? Don't act like a hero, or I'll change my mind and give you a blow which I still owe you anyway. Why do you always have to be so stupid?
Then Frank slaps the officer with his gun, who had tried to stop him despite his superior's orders, and who had earlier slapped Frank while he was sitting handcuffed at the table, right in the face.
Be glad it was only a slap, asshole. I actually intended to give you a new face.
As the officer falls to the ground, the female officer stops the second officer from also trying to stop Frank. As soon as Frank is out of the building, past all the astonished police officers in the station, he suddenly jumps upwards so violently that he launches faster than a rocket and suddenly disappears into the sky. End of part 1.